Astra Exploration is a high-grade precious metals exploration company with 3 projects, 2 in Chile and the La Manchuria in Argentina. Astra just released the second batch of results from its initial drill program at La Manchuria, located in the Cedo Massif district in the southern province of Santa Cruz, Argentina. CEO Brian Miller is here to review the results and provide an update and perspective on the company's next steps. It's Thursday, June the 26th. I'm Martin Gago with Market Radius Research. Please remember, this is neither a recommendation nor investment advice. We're here to learn about the company. Brian, thanks for joining us. How are things going?
Very good. Thanks for having me back, Martin. It's good to be back.
All right. Before we get into more of the details, why don't you just give us a quick overview on the results themselves, and then we can dig into it a bit.
Yeah, the results, as you mentioned, we put out the first set of results on June 10th, and then here just yesterday, we put out the second set of results. Both were great. On the balance, it was the program that we did 2,500 meters roughly in 11 holes. I really don't think that we could have asked for a better result from this program. Every single drill hole that we did was a step out, so minimum of 50 meters, in most cases 50 to 100. And so everything that we drilled mineralization-wise was all expansionary. We grew this thing laterally. So for instance, holes 105 and 113 to the west were step outs that intersected new veins near surface that had mineralization in them. Some of those quite high grades. Hole 108 that everybody's familiar with from our first results, 108, 109, 111 stepped out to the east laterally from the main zone. And then holes 107, 110, 115 to the southeast confirmed extension of what are critical structures to the southeast. So I'd argue that 107 and 110 are potentially the most important holes of this drill campaign. And obviously 107 came back with some spectacular gold grades, as we saw in this last release, 0.6 meters at almost 200 gram gold. And one of the questions I want to get to, because I'll answer a question before we get there. Several people have asked about hole 110 because it came back as intersecting veins, but no grade. And so they take a look at that and they conclude that the mineralization terminates past 107, which is actually not the case. It's that hole 110 was drilled deeper than what 107 is, so it's in a different rock unit. But for sure, those main structures do continue underneath the volcanics to the southeast, and that was a critical target for this drill campaign.
These results seemed, from this most recent release that you had, seemed pretty solid to me. Most companies would be very happy to have that, but the market reaction's been pretty negative to it. But I guess that's on the back of absolutely spectacular results that you issued, I guess, on June 10th. I guess the market had pretty maybe unrealistic expectations that what could come out of these results. They seem solid results to me. Can you give us some perspective on that?
Without a doubt, the results in this last news release yesterday were great. They were really good results. And so, yeah, I do think that this is a case of buy the rumor, sell the news, a lot of speculation here. But, you know, these were really good results. And just to clarify a bit further, because I think a lot of this revolves around, and I've had several questions yesterday. I fielded several questions on this. I was talking about hole 107 and 110. You know, one of the concerns is that the mineralization stops because they didn't intersect it in 110. But what's going on, and most people who are following the story are familiar with this, that hole 107 was drilled underneath what's called a post-mineral breccia. So it's a rock unit that was in place after the veins. It's laying on top, and you have the veins underneath it. And then beneath that, you have another layer of rocks called andesites. And so you have basically a 3-layer sandwich. Call it, like, if you consider Neapolitan ice cream, you've got white on top, you've got red in the middle, and you've got brown at the bottom. The brown at the bottom, the andesites, don't carry grade. There's veins in the andesite, but they're not mineralized typically, not from what we see on the project. The rhyolitic tufts, which are in the middle, are the ones that carry the grade and have the veins. And then the white on top is the post-mineral unit. There's no veins in there. So what happens is we drilled that red unit in hole 107. We hit the strawberry Neapolitan right in the center. And then when we stepped out to the southeast with 110, we drilled it deeper and we drilled the andesites in the bottom, or the chocolate, if you will. So we know that that red center still continues to the southeast. And what's more important, perhaps, is that holes 110 and 115 also gave us some information on the shape of that post-mineral unit, that top white part, which is getting thinner now as we come to the southeast. So the red zone's getting thicker, the white zone is getting thinner, and that's, I think we could have stated that a little bit more clearly in the news release, but that's a huge part of this. So we're really excited about the potential to the southeast here.
Well, these early stage drill programs, it's like, even let's say the bad holes, you're building knowledge and understanding the structure. Everything's not going to have great results. I guess you mentioned a little bit of it, but what did you learn out of this? And then maybe to the next steps from this, and you said you're going to be going forward on another drill program on the back of this. What did you learn from this, and how is that going to influence the drill program that you're going to come out with?
I don't want to put too many words in Diego's mouth here, but I think we're learning a lot, number one, about the structure and
Yeah.
what the controls of grades are. So it is a complex system. There's a lot going on structurally. We do have, like I mentioned, these post-mineral breccias that complicate matters, but it's also part of the opportunity. It's what conceals the mineralization. And, Diego pointed out here in a meeting earlier today that these post-mineral breccias, oftentimes, those might be the vectoring tools. You see these things, they blow up from underneath surface and they cut through these veins and they carry fragments of the veins to the surface. And that's what gives you the indication that there's mineralized veins somewhere underneath. And there's been several good examples, world-class examples of deposits that have been discovered like this. And one example right here in our backyard basically is Cerro Negro. That main Marianas vein was discovered underneath one of these post-mineral breccias. So, that's not to say that the deposits are the same, but you see these characteristics. So, we're learning a lot about structure. We're learning a lot about the controls of mineralization. And we're quite eager to get back on the ground. As you mentioned, we've got a drill campaign coming up. We're going to hit it just as soon as the weather allows. It's going to be weather dependent. So we're looking best case scenario, probably August. But that'll be a program that's about the same size as the one we just did. We're fully funded for that. And we've got Treasury right now that gets us through that drill program and into 2026.
So you still have to, your geologists have to do a bunch of interpretation work before you come out to the exact specifics. But can you give us a bit of an idea of what you're going to be trying to accomplish on that next step, or is it just too early to tell?
I think there's some things that are very clear. And yeah, to that point, Diego's always going to be grinding through the data. He'll extract about as much geological knowledge out of a data set as one can get. So yes, I think it is important to really process the data to maximize your probability of success with the next drill holes. And I do think for certain that one of the biggest drill targets, the most important drill targets for the next campaign is going to be further step outs to the east, targeting the extensions of those high grades. Because as I mentioned, you've got those post-volcanics that look like they're getting thinner to the southeast, but we also have geophysics that show really good potential structural corridors along strike with those. So this is all early and we're going to be processing through a lot of this data, but I would say that it's quite promising for the next drill program coming up. We've generated some very good targets with this drill program.
Now you've got a set of results that you're basing the next drill program on. So you know where to look or what you're trying to find with the next drills, right?
Yeah, we did have a lot of data to work with. There was a lot of geophysics. There was, Diego and the team relogged a lot of drill core.
Okay.
But keep in mind too, Diego reconstructed this model that we're currently working with. He reconstructed it from scratch. This was conceptual until this drill program. And I think that's one of the most remarkable points about this whole thing is the fact that the model worked so well and was even so predictive at this early of a stage. So, huge leg up from that point. But yes, to your point, we're working with fresh data, new structural data, new core. So yeah, I think that we're going to have some very promising drill targets in this next campaign.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that update, Brian. I appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing the program and the results from that coming up. Thank you.
As are we. Thank you, Martin.